Welcome to What's My Thesis. I'm your host, Javier Proenza, and today my guest is Matthew Apol. And you are in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is not the same as Lancaster, Philadelphia. Because
That is
I
correct.
mean, I don't know where. So is that up north? It's not like a suburb of Philadelphia.
No, it's actually I'm not too far from the Maryland border. So like Pittsburgh's
Oh,
way over to the left, right by Ohio. Then Philly is over to the right by New Jersey. And then if you go down from Philly in like the southeast corner, you have Lancaster and Harrisburg and like these little tiny cities that you can hop a train and still get to Philadelphia, but are not Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. Yeah.
and they're
So
like, I'm sorry, did I hear you right? You said that you're closer to the Maryland border?
yeah, I'm pretty close to the Maryland border. Like if I need to go to Baltimore, it'll probably take maybe an hour and 15 minutes, something like that.
Wow.
I
Okay,
used
so
to live in,
Baltimore.
yeah, no, it's funny. I went to the school that I graduated with, for my undergrad was like right on the Maryland line. And we were in Baltimore sometimes twice a weekend, every once in a while, three times a weekend.
Did,
Like, yeah.
did you get along with the kids from Micah?
You know what's funny is like at the time we were down there for like hardcore punk shows. So
So you weren't
like
like art interacting.
yeah, everyone's I mean some of the Micah kids would like show up. But like yeah, we weren't really, or we'd go over to like Red Emma's because that was that like progressive like coffee and bookshop by Micah. But
Uh-huh.
no, we wouldn't see a whole lot of them. We were either at the auto bar, the side bar, or like Charm City Art Space, which was basically a basement,
Yeah.
and with
Well,
every
I don't mean to front. Now it sounds like you've been to Baltimore than I have.
what part of Maryland are you from?
Well, I used to live in Bethesda, so that's like Poser,
Okay.
Maryland. That's like, that's not Baltimore. That they didn't make The Wire about Bethesda. They made whatever the Kevin Spacey show was, you know.
Yes. Yes. Oh, for
uh
sure. And
yeah.
Baltimore, dude, Baltimore remains a hotbed for like music, art,
Yeah,
like it's crazy amounts of good things come out of Baltimore. So,
I'm trying
yeah.
to remember how long of a drive it was from DC, but you don't have to answer that. But it is cool. Like I went there for like a craft thing at their main, what's it called? Like I'm such a poser. I was even a Baltimore Orioles fan because of Cal Ripken, and because after the Marlins sold off their team after they won in '96, all of the players went everywhere, and I went to Maryland and I think it was Sheffield and Jeff Conine ended up in
Yeah.
the. Oh, okay, so all right, we're brothers, man. That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny like how you're like, okay, so that's our common ground. That's what makes us brothers. Like one of the things that maybe I want to talk about is like I've lived in like 12 or 13 different places
Oh,
and
really? Yeah.
from all over the place. And I wasn't like in a military family or anything, just because of happenstance, my parents looking for work. And like I really don't have any like place that I consider like home.
Yeah.
Like I really don't. Even like I grew up in New Jersey, but I lived in one county and I went to a school like two counties away that was like an hour from where I lived. So like I had my weekend friends and then I had my week friends at school. And as soon as high school ended, I then went one place in Pennsylvania and then ended up in New York. And then I did like it just I've kind of like lived all over and I have like no, how do you say this? Like I have no
Sports
place to be
allegiance.
proud of. Yeah. Yeah. Like I really don't
Yeah, I
I
can
lived
relate to
out.
that. Yeah.
It's weird, dude. I
So
lived
can you
out.
list the list the places? So like where did you
Yeah.
live? You said
So
12, right?
I was born in South Dakota.
Okay.
And a really small town. Like actually it's not even a town, it's a territory. It had like 40 people when I was born. And
But
it
like
was
not like Guam territory, right?
no.
Okay.
Like but
Like
it was
it's just unincorporated? Is what is it? What is a territory? Like I mean that might be like local vernacular for like like how parishes. So what's a
yeah.
territory?
So basically like it's a place between say two towns or places that
Okay.
are established, and it was called Harrison, South Dakota, and it was very close to oh shoot, where's Mitchell, where the Corn Palace is, right?
You said that
So
like people were gonna know. It was
yeah,
adorable. I don't mean that with any shade. It's like Mitchell. The first thing I thought about was like Guitar Center's not like in-house guitar brand. Like,
yeah. I mean,
and then the
it's a
second thing
small.
is the second thing is what's it called? Um the Mystery Science Theater 3000. All right, so okay, so then how many cities have we listed so far?
So far, just
Just
Harrison, or
Harrison.
we'll say Mitchell. Then my parents moved, like basically they were out there for a job for my dad, and they were making very little money. I was born out there, and my, like, again, town of 40 people. My mom, it was like driving her nuts. She's like, I can't live here. Like we don't have money. I have no community. I have nothing. I'm basically spending my time in the cold, in the mud with this toddler, and I
Yeah.
can't do. So they moved back to South Dakota, which is where like my extended family is all from Michigan.
Okay.
They moved back to South, or I'm sorry, not South Dakota. I'm sorry. Grand Rapids. Holy cow. They moved
Michigan.
back to
Okay.
Grand Rapids, Michigan,
Because
and lived.
Harris is in South Dakota.
Um,
The first
yes,
town.
Harrison's in South Dakota. Yep.
Harrison. Okay, sorry.
Harrison. Yep. Then Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then from there, like through basically the CRC Church, which is what they were a part of at the time.
Okay,
Um,
sorry. You're gonna have to say what CRC stands for because I
Chris,
right
yep,
now it could go any way.
fair, fair. I'll try to be a little more the script. So the CRC
Specific.
Church is the Christian Reformed Church, which is very much like it was a like kind of a I believe it's like colonial Dutch. Like it was brought
Okay.
about by like basically like colonial Dutch
Is it
and
ostentatious like Catholics or is it Protestant in origin?
Protestant.
Okay.
Protestant. Yeah, yeah. Like if we were gonna
There are
like
so
divide.
many different
Oh,
Protestant sects, dude. I've just found out that non-denominational is a denomination.
yeah. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
as a
And
Catholic, I come out here. You guys think I'm crazy. I'm like, okay, which one are you?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I've
Like
never heard of that one before. All right, so then we've got Dakota, South Dakota, and then we're in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is how big is Grand Rapids? Is that like oh like and once and as we go through the map, maybe discuss when you start getting interested in art. Okay.
okay,
So let's
sure,
keep
sure,
going. So
sure.
we got two.
Yep, we're so Grand Rapids, Michigan. Grand Rapids, Michigan is a small city.
Mm.
But when Detroit started to like take a landslide, which I know they're on the up and up now, but when like basically when car manufacturing kind of like shit the bed
Mhm.
and Motor City became a thing of the past pretty much, they were
Around
thinking about.
2008, 2007.
Yep, yep. They were very much considering moving Detroit sports teams to Grand Rapids.
Oh
So like it's
wow. So that they
it's
could have
big.
attendance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like it's big enough for that to be a thing. So like I'm trying to think of a small city that I could like relate
No,
it to, like a
like
Midwest city.
Chicago-ish, maybe.
No, no, no. Chicago's way huge. Like
Okay. Well,
it's not in the. Yeah,
I
yeah,
keep
yeah.
forgetting that I live in a mega city. Like that's literally what Los Angeles is. It's
Yeah.
like a city that has downtown sprouting.
Well, my time in Los Angeles, we can talk about that too, but like I remember like getting on a bus in San Pedro,
Oh,
and
dude.
it taken like 4 hours to
Yeah.
get to like Pomona, or like whatever is up
Wow,
north.
Pomona's yeah, that's I mean, yeah, San Pedro to Pomona is pretty rough. Like that's gonna take you like at least 40 minutes in a car. So of course it's gonna be. I used to drive to somewhere that was 25 minutes. It would or I used to take the bus to Montebello, which is like 25 minutes away, and I it would take forever. All right, so let's list them real quick and then we
Sorry,
can hit the
okay,
highlights. Go back
okay,
because the reason I want to know is because you're the first person that has more cities to list than I do, and I used to get annoyed. So I'm gonna make you do it.
Okay. Fair. Fair, fair, fair. Okay.
Like I
So
used to have just, I would go through the routine and then I'll tell you mine. The other thing that I want to say is that I can relate to your mom wanting to leave or through my mom's version, or I empathize or whatever. I have a similar story. My mom watched my sister, like we were in Costa Rica and she like looked at something and she was like, I don't even know what context it was, but it was like some busted ass neighborhood in Costa Rica. Not all of them are busted. We lived in a pretty nice area, but, and she goes, oh, qué lindo, which means like, oh, how pretty. And my mom was like, no. And then we just happened, I don't know if it was like manifestation, but my dad, the only jobs that he could get were in I forget what Latin American country that ended up like going down to a coup, and then we ended up in Italy. So so and working for the UN, and the benefits of that are still paying off in my life. So
nice.
yeah. But I can totally, I can imagine like being a parent and just being like, God damn, this is not, like
No,
40
my
people
mom.
is a very small amount of people.
And like I was two when we left, and recently I went back, like a few years ago, I went back to visit, and like it's one street, and it's a one street in the middle of nowhere, and like it was just kind of like, yeah, like no wonder like my mother was miserable. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we got
I
Mitchell.
mean, it is for some people, but yeah, I totally get it. If you have like ambitions that I felt Miami was too small for me though. So,
Damn. Yeah.
like, I mean, Miami's a shithole. It's a very, very small place. Unless you want to just go do coke and party. Like, I
Okay.
think, I
I'll remember
think,
that. I'll remember
don't
that.
quote
And
me on
you're
this, but I would feel like a Miami fentanyl would be redundant. The like I still feel, I don't know if this is true. Don't quote me on that. Definitely get your test strips and do all of that shit if you're gonna go party in Miami. But I still feel like in Miami, I'm like, people aren't gonna go for that shit, That's
that's
any
wild, dude.
yeah.
Holy
Anyway,
cow.
again,
Um,
don't do drugs, but be safe if you're going to, and do test strips. But yeah, it hurts a lot of people. So also just don't do drugs.
just on drugs.
I mean, I like, if you look at my friend count, don't do drugs. I mean, I'm
Fair.
laughing nervously. It's not funny. But all right. Okay. So then let's go. Like, we got 10 more. Real quick. 10, 5.
Okay. So, all right. So you got so Mitchell, South Dakota, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Then through the CRC Church, my father got a high school teaching job for a private school in northern New Jersey in a town called North Halden.
Okay.
So North Halden is a pretty like, if you think of New Jersey and you think of like eyesore strip malls and like diners and like kind of like things that like make your brain want to bleed, like
Yeah.
yes, like
Well, I
that's
mean, they
kind
all
of
sound like they're in the same small town realm, and I'm good. And I'm working my way to ask you questions about if any of these towns have cryptids. But like, let's just do a quick list, because it's 10.
okay. Okay, no, I
We're,
got it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you got North Halden, New Jersey. Lived in an apartment there for a while. They bought a house an hour north in Sussex County, New Jersey, in a town called Hamburg. So now we're up to four.
Okay.
Okay. Lived in that house and commuted down to the other county to go to school, which was in the same school system that my dad taught. Okay. After I graduated high school, I first attended college at Geneva College, which is right outside Pittsburgh in a little town called Beaver Falls, which is like a 30-minute drive into Pittsburgh. Okay, that's five. Um, tried, um, man, tried four different majors. And I remember on a different episode you mentioned dyslexia. I am also
Oh yeah, yeah,
dyslexic.
yeah. Oh,
And
we
like,
got. I'm talking to an artist that it did. That is like is a dyslexia educator, and like I was like, and she wanted to talk about it, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about this.
like I can relate to this. This is great.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is
Um,
that episode's probably coming out in the next couple of weeks.
that's
But yeah,
50.
okay. So you're
So
dyslexic as well, and then that's around. So how old you're after high school? So I'm guessing that we're getting into like the four majors. What were they? We're like
yeah,
just listing shit.
yeah, we're just listening to no, that's okay. It was so this is actually I was very interested in art, so we can start talking about this now. I was very
Yeah.
interested in art in high school, but not for any of their faults, but I was fairly dissuaded from following art or from trying to make it into a career. And it's not and it like my my parents, my extended family, and they were all very much just trying. We had no artists in the family, and
Mhm.
everybody was in some kind of business or teaching or law, and like everybody was basically just kind of like, no, don't do art, and it's because they did not want to see me suffer
Yeah.
essentially. Like they wanted to see, and all the ways that they knew about how to be financially sound had nothing to do with art. So like, and what do you do? Like my family, I have a very loving family, and like I trusted them, and they didn't know any better, so they weren't like, trying to steer me wrong. And so I went into college, and my first major was business. And I will tell you that like this is when I'm starting to like really heavily like be into, hardcore punk rock, things like this, and like the philosophies aren't jiving.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, for sure,
Right.
for sure.
And also like,
I'm playing Civilization 6, and like the moral things that like it's worse than it's worse than GTA. It's like luckily R-ing is not, but pillaging is in the in the game. And like I feel like the R-ing is implied, you know?
yeah, yeah. So it's just like, yeah,
So,
it's like
yeah.
it's
So
it was
business is like business, especially like once you get into like the mercantile part, they make it seem like it's okay, but like maybe it's just by comparison. But yeah, okay. So then business, yeah, man. I mean, I went through that too. I was in Miami. Like that's one of the things that sucked about Miami growing up. There's like everyone was an entrepreneur. It was all like import export businesses, right? And like what the fuck does that even mean? Like, what do you import
yeah.
exporting? But like that's what having conversations with people like over there was like. It was like, hey, what do you do? I'm an import export. Okay, fascinating. What do you import? I do this. It's like it's even just dating someone that's into that kind of shit is like
Oh,
really like eyes glaze over.
yeah.
So then
Yeah,
when
yeah.
so was it like did you go more practical or less practical from business?
Well, it was just like I knew I was a creative person. Like
Mhm.
I like, you know, all of those things. I did a lot of art in high school. So it was like they had no art major at this school.
Mhm.
And I was starting to get into philosophy a little bit. Again, this is the fault of like hardcore and punk rock. Like those are the places where I was first like exposed to like left anything, like
How old are you?
I'm 40
Well,
now.
you're 40. Okay, so we're around the same age. You just look young, so and it's hard to tell through Zoom. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we're about the same age. I would say like I would caution you because there are Nazi punks. Eh,
Yeah.
so it's not always punk is not always leftist.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that
No,
and that
no.
and
For
that
for
is
sure.
that is a thing that the liberals love to say, but it's not true.
No, no, for sure. Like it's
And
like
liberal distinct from leftist, right?
yeah, no,
Yeah,
no, oh,
like
absolutely.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
absolutely. I haven't listened to like a ton of episodes, but I've listened to like I think
Enough
maybe
to know that I'm allowed.
seven episodes to know that like we're in that conversation. No, like completely. It's
Well, I mean, I
like
interview working class artists, so it's like
yeah,
it's hard not to like, but that's like old
yeah,
school lefty. That's not like culture war lefty, which
yeah,
like I mean, I've always just been like, okay, gay people are cool. Like, why do we
yeah,
have to fight about it?
for sure. No, 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 for
I
sure.
mean, I understand why gay people feel like they need to stand up for
Yeah.
this stuff. I'm not like diminishing that, but like that's just not my realm, you know?
Mhm. No, like the marginalized folks are like, hell yeah, we need to fight. And I'm like, I
Yeah,
understand you need to fight.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah,
And you can come on my show and talk about
yeah. I
it.
don't know.
But
For sure.
all right, so then let's skip ahead to like when you finally like what clicked for you about art? What do you make? Are you a painter?
So I'm a like let's just say painter, collage, the things that I make function mostly as paintings and collages.
Okay.
But like I'm also like pretty into augmented reality, not as something to go ooh ah about or not as like a spectacle, but more of like the ability to kind of integrate things that are augmented with things that are like physical object in reality, right?
Mm.
And I'm also super interested in how augmented reality kind of breathes this new life into um collaboration. And
Okay.
I'll kind of explain that real quick how I mean that. So like for my senior thesis, I went to graduate school at Syracuse University, and for my thesis, one of the things that I did is I was talking about how we can use um, augmented reality to basically like hide messages and be subversive and all of these things. And one of the things that I and another professor did together is like a lot of augmented reality is target based. And what that means is like the lens is your phone, which is like that's what Snapchat filters are, that's what Instagram filters are. Okay, that's all augmented reality.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way that those filters pop up is they recognize something, right? So like you point your phone at something that the filter recognizes, and then
Like a
something
face.
jumps. Right, yeah, like something jumps up. Like it might be your face, and all of a sudden you have dog ears, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like
Or like a
it's
spider shows up. I saw that one recently
right,
that like
right.
people freaking
And
each other out with that.
yeah, you got it. And like those are like they're very general targets, meaning like as soon as the phone recognizes like two eyes, mouth, nose, boom, there's the ears or there's the spider, whatever it is, right? There are much more specific ones where it's like you can take a very specific place in the world, and it's the only place that this thing will show up,
Oh, okay.
right? Or
Yeah.
like what I did is I made these things that functioned as paintings, and they were basically framed panels of oriented strand board or OSB, which is like what, you know, covers your abandoned houses. Like that's what we're talking about. It's like plywood that has all the different kind of strands of
Mhm.
wood meshed together, right? So like each one of those oriented strand boards, like you will never find an oriented strand board or a piece of OSB that is the same as any other piece of OSB. It is
Okay.
like a fingerprint. It is like a human. Like you can't make them the same. That's just not possible. So like I basically made those my targets, and the message or the art that I wanted to make or show would only show up if you pointed your camera at this very specific piece of OSB or a picture of it. Like it would actually work through a computer screen too. So so yeah, so like I'm very interested in kind of that intersection. And
What about the specificity in that piece is interesting because to me it seems like there's like a bit of a treasure hunt, right? Like like maybe like a majority of people won't even have access to the work. How do you make people aware? How do like what's the interface? Like you're like,
yeah,
hey guys, there's a show at this location and then the boards are there or what's going on?
yeah, there's a show at this location, but like, and I think this is changing, but like the QR code is still your access point.
Okay.
So like basically like at this point, someone knows if they see a QR code, you open your camera, you point it at the QR code, and then that brings you somewhere. The way
Can I
that
ask
I
you
do,
something? How
yeah.
often do you actually use QR codes?
Um,
Has it
well,
become I wanted to this reminds me of a story. There was I forget if I think it was in the 70s. My dad told me this, but there was a hostage situation on some plane, and they were trying to figure out where the plane was, and the guys and the people said, "Oh, there's a McDonald's sign out there," and like it didn't answer the question, right? Like QR codes are so ubiquitous at this point that I'm just like I don't even see them. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, do you like unless it's like some specific thing that I go to someone and I'm like, hey, I need to do this, and they're like, yeah, hit this QR code. It's not like a self-serve
Yeah.
thing for me. I don't know. Am I too old? I mean, we're
No, no,
both
no, no,
old.
no, no. You're right because like, and it's you know, and it's absolutely wild when like people get QR codes like tattooed on them. But like,
Well, at
no,
least it makes more sense than just putting it out in the middle of nowhere because at least they can point you out, you know, be like,
they
oh yeah,
can.
why don't you scan it? I mean,
So
like
like,
that's kind of like Henry Rollins's barcode tattoo from our
totally,
generation.
totally. Like, so like it's very much like that. And the reason I said I think it's changing is because I think like things that are going to be better than that are coming out. But like in a space where it's like, okay, the QR code's on the side of my panel, scan it. and then
Okay.
yeah, so it's like in a gallery situation, it's like, okay, this is here for a reason. Like
So you
I
are showing this in the gallery.
yeah.
Okay.
This is gallery stuff. And like
And
and
the sorry, to
no,
keep
no,
interrupting,
do your
but
thing.
I'm just trying to visualize it. The things that people are seeing, are they three-dimensional? Are they like, do they take up space? Can you like walk around them like they're a sculpture with the phone, sort of, to see? You're nodding, but we're audio, so maybe answer.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So like you can very much like once the AR pops up, which is like as soon as your phone recognizes the pattern, like it's up until you put your phone down. Like
Okay.
so it's basically like you can walk around it, you can see behind it. And so one of the things I was mentioning, and like I did a lot of messaging, so it was text based, and that's comes from being a graphic designer, which that was another part of life. But like one of the very cool things about this was the ability to collaborate. And what I mean by that, so like I worked with a professor who's a buddy of mine that lives in Washington State, and I sent him a picture, just a picture of one of these panels, and I'm like, make AR based on this panel,
Mm,
and then he made something completely different. So even though, so like my lens showed one thing, he used the same exact target that's very specific, and then he made something else, and all of a sudden like you have this thing where it's like I could write something, I could make art, leave it there, whatever it is. He could respond to that art by making
mm,
his own art and see it in the exact same place. Like really the only thing holding anything back is like the moment where you have to get the specific lens, which is in your phone right now, or it could be like a Google Glass or whatever, and like getting that in front of the work, and
mm.
it's kind of like a little bit of a commentary. This is People say this is a reach. I don't think it's a reach. Like people very rarely experience things with their eyes anymore. Like
No,
they
I
just
don't think that. I was already thinking that. I mean, I
okay,
don't think that's a reach. Yeah, like basically, like it's just you're already. Well, what it really makes me think, obviously, I mean, I don't mean to trivialize it, but I had some pretty profound experiences playing Pokemon Go when it came out, like however many
for
years ago.
sure. No,
And I
for sure.
remember, and I remember specifically like being playing that game and being at a gym and talking to someone that was playing at the same gym, and me gesturing to the gym like it was over my head, but it wasn't. I would like it, like it's the scaling, because like I'm a small little character in this world that has this, like in the phone it has this towering thing that's where you go fight the Pokemon against each
Yeah,
other, right? And you try to conquer the gym. And so like we were talking about the gym and the Pokemon that were in it, and I was like literally gesturing as if this fake world that was in my phone hand was like actually present, and I was like, yeah, like like up there.
yeah,
And
yeah. Like
it is kind of a mind fuck. I mean,
yeah,
did you listen at all to the Thinking About Thinking episode with I would recommend that one if you haven't checked it out, with
yeah.
Renee Forrest. She does some interesting stuff. I think this is an interesting space because she just posted one that creeped the fuck out of me. So she does these like these 3D rendered things in space. So like it's like it was like a pulsing tongue looking. It wasn't it was tongue textured but not tongue shaped. It
Mm,
was like it was weird. She says that she takes like scans of her body or like her hand or something like that and builds it off, like gets the texture off of that. But it was like breathing. And I messaged her and I was like, your daughter is judging you, like, because it's like it when we were talking and she was describing it, she was like, oh, they're parts of me. And I was like, what if they become sentient? And I was like, yeah, dude, they exist, man. And
no,
it's
it's
interesting. I'm getting into that space of like, if you perceive something as real, right? Like that's what all this like this, you can become an AI in your death, not because you'll be conscious, but because your family can talk to you, kind of thing. Like, have you seen all of that?
yeah, it's wild. It's all sorts of like Matrix that makes me uncomfortable. Like I'm just like I don't even understand what's going on.
Yeah, yeah,
Just want to paint in my attic.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then like I don't know. It's just a way to like market or to monetize people's grief, beyond like insane caskets. It's like, oh yeah, you wanna it's like a photograph of them, but like just all the data. It's really crazy. Like we're entering a
Yeah.
really, like when I was a kid, I mean, when I was, dude, I studied photography, like that was practical. Like that's what my parents, in their wisdom as boomers who didn't really understand where the world was heading, were like, yeah, no, we know artists and they have a great life. Like they have 3 months of the year off and all of that. And the reality is like nobody has a job, or everybody
Um,
has six jobs, either or. Like you have to like. Are you
yeah.
an adjunct? Are you a
I am
professor?
I am I am an adjunct. I'm not adjuncting right now. So I mentioned graphic design. Like right now I'm a graphics contractor, meaning like I'll take either design jobs or technical illustration jobs. Really like I'll apply for anything that like I have good knowledge of the software that they're using if they need somebody. So like I'm like a pair of hands in whatever, whatever graphic. I have done some adjuncting. I'm a curator in the area too, so I work with a couple different universities and yeah, like I piecemeal it.
Wait,
I
are you a
totally
paid curator? Because I'm not. I curate, but I'm not.
Yeah, I was a paid curator, but dude, by the time you put the hours in and drive to the place and just do everything, it's like I would have been better off doing anything else,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah,
monetarily.
no,
So,
definitely. Yeah, parents had no idea what I mean, it seems like I'm just letting you know that your parents wanting to be practical was not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I've kind of gone full circle and now I am essentially a businessman with a business that's like launching and not really making money yet, but people do
you,
that all the time. People start
yeah,
restaurants that are not profitable. So, but it is an interesting thing at like of like that going away, like how art culturally art, I don't know if it's because of the CIA like funding, whatchamacallit, the abstract expressionism and all of that. And like I don't know how it became institutionally okay to like be a super rich artist, but not be like there's no in between, right? Like it
yeah,
like in school they're it's a very very strange art world, and I think it's partly because people just want like if you're not making enough money, people don't want to validate you because they can get free work off of you.
yeah. No, that is the case. It's like I think, man, I think when it's funny you said like my parents wanting to be practical was like, not necessarily a bad thing. And you're right. I got out of school after, a couple of addresses later, I got out of school and I was a graphic designer.
Mhm.
And I actually, and you're gonna laugh about this, and I took so much shit for this in grad school, but like, people were like, when was your defining moment where you were like, I need to be an artist? And I was like, I had just gotten out of undergrad. I was a graphic designer and I was standing in a Borders bookstore and I was in the magazine section
Way back
and
in the
I was
1900s.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
my new
And
favorite joke, I'm sorry.
it's in the 1900s. Oh, so yeah, I'm in this Borders bookstore and I see like a juxtaposed magazine because, let's
Mhm.
just say that everybody's looking at that. And it had a painting on it that I thought was digital work. Like it was this mashup of really like sharp, sharp lines and graffiti and Revolutionary War soldiers from like, kind of Napoleonic type of deal. And I was like, wow, like that's that's a pretty cool Photoshop something. And it was Connor Harrington.
Oh,
It
okay.
was graffiti and paint, and I just like, and I opened this thing, and I was like, it kind of was like these three eras where it was like, the the whatever time in history he was pulling from, then
Mhm.
it was painted on this decrepit building that was like, had been falling apart for X amount of years. But then there was graffiti in it too, which was very like contemporary at the moment, like whatever style was good at the time. And it pulled these three things together. And I was just like, I gotta figure out how to do something like this. And that was
Yeah.
2006.
Well, it's
And
so sorry, go ahead.
no, go
I
ahead.
thought you were finished. No, I was just gonna like comment about like what because you said it was contemporary about back then. It's like scratching, like in hip hop and stuff like that. Like you don't hear stuff like that anymore. You know what you don't hear anymore, dude? Is the five elements of hip hop.
Oh,
Do
dude,
you
for
remember
sure.
that?
I do.
Like when hip hop was like it's a culture and it's breakdancing and it's graffiti and it's like or
Yeah, yeah,
and like
yeah,
and it's just now it's just money. But
yeah,
it is interesting like the idea of that being an aesthetic. And it also made me laugh because when you said revolutionary soldier, like that is like picture the color red, like we're all gonna picture a different color. And when you
yeah.
said
It's
napoleonic
anything. Yeah,
napoleonic, the costume change just made me laugh.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like
yeah,
picturing like some sandinista or something like that, but like that's just the culture, what culturally informs me,
yeah.
um
And that yeah, no. As soon as I said that, it was just I immediately thought of the Raul, like the episode. I did listen to the episode with Raul Baltazar,
oh
and
yeah, yeah, Raul, yeah, yeah, dude.
like that's a different, like he's talking about revolutionary, like Chicanos, and it's like, well, that's a different revolution, like,
No, it is. It is.
you
Dude,
know,
Chicano culture is so crazy because I mean, it's a culture of people that have been like it's elusive to me too because I'm first generation American, so I still speak Spanish. Like there's people that
yeah,
are like Mexican. It's really all Chicano culture is like, yo, you guys moved the border on us. That's it. Like that is you know, and like
yeah,
now we're stuck here. We got to figure it out. I'm sorry if I'm misspeaking, but that is literally my understanding of it. It's so
yeah,
different. Like all Latin American cultures are different. I mean, Central American stuff, like the differences between Central American countries is maybe a little bit less because they're small and they are all so deeply tied to US atrocities. But and like Mexico too. But I mean, Mexico is North America technically.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but yeah, man. I mean, yeah, dude, like all of that stuff. Like we came up in a very interesting time. I mean, so does everybody. But I think the gap between like the boomer mindset and the like I feel like all the things that mattered to us as like coming out of like early millennial coming out of Gen X, that apathy, the grunge, all of that stuff, all of our heroes, like, like Kurt Cobain killed himself. I'm sorry, self, I don't, I think I can, whatever, it's YouTube. I apologize. Um, what's his name? The freaking genius from Soundgarden. I'm like
oh, Chris
Chris
Cornell.
Cornell. Yeah, yeah. I could only think of Novoselic from Nirvana.
No, it's all good.
Uh, but yeah, dude, like we came from a very different, like the music. We were around that time where hip hop, like, dude, we were like Afrocentric hip hop generation. Like that music was around, Diggable Planets and stuff like that, and then like, Biggie came and just changed everything.
Just
Like
wiped everything. Yeah, no,
yeah,
for
it was
sure.
just so good and like so much about being American that like all of that positive stuff just did not ring true. And then also the companies were like, "Yo, let's put money behind this because this is about making money."
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, as in anything that grows, right? Like
yeah.
it's just going to get absorbed. No, you're right. And it's funny to have lived through that where like you have a childhood that say, at least for me, all the way through high school, like things looked pretty bright. And I was taught to think that things were pretty bright, like and I remember when I didn't
Oh,
learn,
dude, yeah.
oh, like it's things.
What you said just registered. It was like a little lag and then I was remembering. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, and it wasn't really until, again, and like my parents and my mentors growing up weren't, meant no wrong, but like it's once like I got into college and kind of started examining things, and then also um like really hearing certain people yell about how wealth was bad and like not understanding that initially, and then understanding why wealth was bad. Not
Yeah.
like having money, but like basically like how like the perpetual growth thing was bad, and that, you know, like that again, like this is coming from like, I don't know, like the Refused, you know,
Yeah,
this is like
the
Black Flag
decline
was like,
by no
yeah,
effects, stuff like that. Yeah, dude.
yeah,
Like
like
the decline was like one of the most important. Like I just saw, I've been waiting. I saw on YouTube. There's like a live performance of it. That's like one of the best 20 minute. That's the best 20-minute song about politics that I've ever
for
heard.
sure,
It
for
is
sure.
so good. It called out like, and it is irrelevant now because we've gone
Yeah.
like we like it is such of the time of the Bush era. Like we're just so far out of that. Like it really is mind blowing. I
I think
think
about
that.
that all the time.
Well,
Like,
I forget who it was. Who was it? I don't want to I don't want to quote someone that's like some crazy radical whatever. Like I don't want to like accidentally quote someone that I saw on like because sometimes Joe Rogan has good people on, like good leftists on, but then sometimes you're like you hear a clip and you're like, oh, that was interesting, but it's like this is an odious person, like the guy that did the "What is a Woman" guy, like,
oh my God.
but
I ugh,
yeah, Matt Walsh, I think is that guy.
yeah.
But what's it called? But one of the things that who the fuck was it? I think it may have been like, you know what? It was Matt Taibbi, who's like a pariah now as well from the Twitter files. But he
Sure.
was saying that like he that like when what is what is interesting about the Gen Z generation is that their outlook is anti-establishment and rebellious, but also in service of the establishment in a certain way, because it's like it's not a class consciousness at all. It's not, hey, let's make conditions better for everyone, and then that way queer people will have better lives too. Black people will have better lives. It's like, no, we need to focus on these people and get them into the upper class and fuck everybody, and it's like, and that is like, that is such a strange thing. And so one of the things that blew my mind, though, that was kind of weird, is that Taibbi was saying, because he used to live in Russia, he was saying that like you have to like it's gonna take a song or something that makes rebelling and being anti-war cool, because like we grew up hating war, and now like,
Yeah.
bro, what, how insane is it that the same fucking Republicans that were like funding that, like pushing that shit, are now like against war? It's insane,
Yeah.
and now are pro free speech. It just goes to show you that it's not like when you're in power, you don't
Yeah.
give a fuck.
Yep. No, no, for sure. Like it is, it's indescribable. Like it's completely indescribable. Like if like I often, so I have a 3-year-old, and I often think about how I'm going to have to attempt to explain what went on in the early 2020s, like basically from the pandemic, or not even, well, more from like from Trump onward. And
Yeah,
like it, and I don't have words, you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I really don't. Um, and yeah, it's indescribable. I don't understand really how people don't have any empathy, but that, and I'm very much not a person that's going to say like Democrats have the right idea, because like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, because we are at a place now where like there is, I don't believe there's an American left. I don't, like, at all. You know, like I believe there are people that like left ideas, but I also believe that financial security is actually the only type of security you can actually have in America, right?
Yeah.
So like whether you like it or not, like everybody begrudgingly plays, right? And I know you've talked a lot about this on your podcast, but like you can yell about whatever you want. I think I used to be a huge, or I still am, like, do you remember the band Boy Sets Fire?
No.
Okay, so like um, Nathan, their singer, Nathan Gray, really, really great musician, great singer, openly queer around the Bush era. Like, they were just fantastic. And he's still like, he's, you know, like Boy Sets Fire was a hardcore band. Nathan Gray is like kind of more of like a acoustic guitar singer type act. Kind of like, you know, Tim Barry kind of went same deal, like kind of same thing. And like I hear him now, and he's
You mean
just,
like Everlast? from House of Pain.
No, no, like do you know Avail? I mean,
No,
I
no,
guess
I
you
was
could
kidding. I
say.
was just I was trying to think. I just
Oh,
he came
okay,
in my mind
okay.
because you were talking about people changing their musical styles,
Yes,
and I
yes.
just
So like,
remembered the most
sure,
extreme one.
sure, like Everlasting House of Pain. Sure. That works. But like he's just now, it's funny because he's still singing about the same stuff, but it's like so defeatist at this point,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
where like in the Bush era, like you said, same thing, like very much like harder than No Effects, but like same scenes, same festivals, same shows. And like I
Well,
just listened.
I used to think NoFX was pop punk until I listened to them, and I was like, this is like the best fucking shit ever. Because all the
I'm
younger, I was like all the younger kids were into it. Same thing that
yeah.
happened with Deftones. I was like, I was late to that because it was
Oh,
like my sisters liked them, and then I was like, oh my god, I'm such an asshole.
it's
Like this
yeah.
is so
And like
good.
you're like, oh yeah, this is new metal. And then you listen and you're like, this is untouchable.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
No,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Um,
There's a California band.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Dude, Deftones can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. Their songs are impossible to play just because you have to have six different guitars tuned differently.
yeah, no, it's pretty wild. And like they're openly accepted in like kind of the heavier music scene. Like in the metal scene, they're accepted. In the hardcore scene, they're
It's
accepted. Like
unfortunate that they're new metal. It's like
so
it's kind of
yeah.
like saying that Creed and Nirvana are both grunge.
Oh,
But like, Nirvana
oh
begot.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, that's a taste. That's a
It's
taste of
kind of like how
insanity.
how punk came after all those terrible bands, like or after the ABBAs and the Barry Gibb. Yeah, that Barry Gibb is ABBA, right? No,
Mhm. I mean,
no, Bee Gees,
I,
Bee Gees.
that's it. BG. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I've said yes because it sounded completely right.
No, I mean that it's just outside of our lifetime experience. It's like
Yeah.
70s shit.
Yeah.
So then like, well, what about painting? How are you? What are you interested in painting? Are you? Because I've
Sure.
I've listened. I've literally just started doing it, and I've always been a conceptual artist, and of course, I have to have some cheeky conceptual conceit while I'm doing what I'm doing. But
Right.
I'm always interested in how painters think about painting because it is a little. I feel like after modernism, if you're trying to make non-modernist work, it's a little hard to understand painting.
I mean, I think it's when you say painting, like that's too big of an umbrella. Like it's not,
Uh,
I don't think it's gonna work. So like the things that I'm really interested in, and like I thought it came from like graffiti, and I think I thought it came from graffiti because I saw like Connor's work, and then like I was just like mind blown by it, by that intersection of like realism and also spray paint, and like I immediately started like working with spray paint and stuff. And like I, the farther I dig into it, or was digging into it, is like, okay, I'm not actually interested in spray paint. I'm interested in detritus, and like things just being old and weathered, and like these places in urban spaces where there's been a million like layers of paint and it's chipped away, and like you see everything. And so like I started layering more things. But then it's funny, I had a number of studio visits where um and I think this is a little bit myopic and short-sighted, but like people were like, you should really stop trying to be black, you know and part of
Black
that,
black who? Like first name for or just black as a
black,
color?
like you should stop trying to be like a hip-hop head, or like black, or be into
Oh,
graffiti.
Jesus Christ. I
Like,
was like,
yeah, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's all
wow.
right.
No, that makes sense. It's just so funny how I didn't like that.
Yeah,
Like, that is like such a common. Okay, I'm sorry.
right. No, it's okay, and it's all right, and it's one of those things where like in my head, every time somebody said that to me, I'm like, you have a very myopic view of what spray paint is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and in my head, I'm like, I think you're actually almost, I think you, that might have been racist what you said. but
Yeah.
but like I kept on thinking about it. It's like, all right, so like even though I don't agree with this criticism, I'm just going to store it here for a second. And then I kept on thinking about it and I kept on making work. Like there's stuff behind me that's just, it's masking and layers and, house paint and all sorts of crap. And I kept on thinking about it. And it was just like, oh, this comes from like, this is going to maybe be like way different, but like, I think this comes from old billboards along the Bible Belt.
Hmm.
Like, because we did a lot of Midwestern driving, and it's like, and you see these billboards that there's nothing for like miles and miles and miles except these billboards that sometimes they're new, but for the most part, like they've just been, covered and then they wither away and covered and wither away and covered and wither away. And like, that's where all this tearing has come from. Like, all
Hmm.
this tearing, all this like layering, like, this is where I started to like really get into it.
Do
And
the can I let's go back real quick. Do the people that told you that you were being black because you're using spray paint, do they know that they sell that at Home Depot and it's like actually for spraying stuff? Like that it's not like that they don't make spray paint. I mean they do now, but like the spray paint is not like graffiti paraphernalia. It is a like industrial tool that's used like how like
yeah,
because you said house paint, it's the same shit. It's not an art
yeah.
material. That's what the whole point of street art is, you know.
I think, well, first of all, like there's projection, right? Like anybody that critiques your work has to
There's
come
also
at it.
there's also probably a little virtue signaling there. I'm
And
guessing these were white people.
one was a white dude, and one was a white dude that had another artist say that to him. And then I
uh,
think like there was a black artist say that to him, a very prominent black artist. And then I think basically he was trying to be like, you know, this artist told me this and it helped me and now I'm going to tell you this.
mhm.
And then somebody else is actually one of my studio visits when I was in LA. I had a studio in LA for about 3 months. And one of the studio visits was with a woman who her experience with graffiti is very much like, the LA graffiti scene, which is not white people,
Well,
or
but
at
it's
least
also but it's not just black people too, which is like kind of their bad, you know, because
no, no,
like
no. It was
LA
yeah,
of all scenes is not white people. And also the Midwest is full of fucking graffiti. Europe is
yes,
full of
that
fucking graffiti. Like, bro,
yes,
the like hip hop is like everywhere. That shit is
yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, it's a black culture, but like, are you gonna go police like that policing shit? It's like I had someone on the show one time. I called myself a thug, and they were like a Gen Z or a millennial, young, like young millennial. And I was like, yeah, I'm a thug. And they were like, yeah, I don't like you using that word. I like the idea of taking it and claiming it, but it's kind of a racist word. And I was like, bro, like, you see your reaction. I was
Mm,
like, thug life, man. This is that like it's a cultural part of
mm,
our youth.
mm,
Tupac like was a poser too until he fucking died. There's a lesson in there. Like we're not using thug to be like, the guy from the Temple of Boom in Seattle. What's the guy's name? The player that Richard something, whatever. There was a player that got thug. Like that's the first that called a thug because he was like after a game he said something about another player. He was like that guy's weak, and then everyone was like he was acting like a thug. And anyway,
it's
thug
wait,
life, man,
in
bro.
football,
Yeah, in American football, Seahawks.
Richard
No,
Sherman,
not yeah, Richard what?
Richard Sherman,
Yes, that's
was that
exactly
him?
what it is.
Do they know
And
that
then
he
they, and then
actually like that? Richard Sherman's one of the like the smartest. Like the dude went to, I believe, Stanford. Like he was an Ivy
yeah,
League guy or something. Like it was crazy.
my point
Anyway,
is that like yeah, there is that usage, but you can't just erase a whole cultural experience that
no,
white people
yeah,
had as a result of black people's music, and erase it. We're not using the N word. We're just
no,
saying
yeah,
thug, and we're not calling other people thugs. We're saying like we identify as a thug. I was definitely a thug. I wasn't broke. I wasn't a hood rat. I was like a upper middle class thug thug
yeah.
ass motherfucker because I did dirty thug shit.
I just want to do hood ratchet shit with my friends.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
oh, this is so funny. No, it's good. No, no, I agree. I agree. It's and I think that brings me to something that so like how do I say this? The whole virtue signaling thing, like I've come very full circle with it where when I went to graduate school, like I had no idea what I was getting into. Like I went to graduate school in upstate New York. I actually went to graduate school with somebody that you have in your show tonight. Charlie Hickey was a year in front of me in that program.
Oh,
Yeah,
he was using a 3D pen on
yeah,
campus, which was interesting.
he's fantastic. Like he would
Yeah,
be
and
a
I
very
like the cultural references, obviously, because I grew up in Europe.
yeah.
So
No, no, no. He's tons of like still life painting jokes. He's very clever. Like,
uh,
yeah, no, he's a good dude. Anyway, so like I went there and I thought that my experience, like I had done a lot of other things before I got to graduate school. I got to grad school when I was 35 and I had had a million jobs and lived in a million places. And I really thought that that was like gonna have like be something valuable that I could bring to the table to talk about, you know? And everybody was just like, you're white and you look like you've been to the gym. We're not going to talk to you, you know? And it was just kind of
yeah,
like, oh, oh my,
yeah.
you know? So, and
And it goes back to. Sorry to interrupt.
no, no, do your thing.
Keep telling the story, but it goes back to the thing that Taibbi was talking about of like you there instead of like being anti FBI, being anti CIA, being anti war machine, being anti all these things that are really the actual causes of global warming, the fact that we have military bases everywhere, the fact that we fucking burn open pits and people get toxic poisoning from it,
Yeah,
like so
yeah, yeah, no, no,
it's just a lack of experience and I don't begrudge them. I think that like you know I felt like what I was doing by being anti-war was important, but like it didn't really fucking matter. So like who's to say that they're wrong either,
yeah, 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 no, no, for sure. And like, and after that, like I was steeped in theory for 3 years. And like it's funny how you get like steeped in that and you learn a lot, and then you get out and like you find yourself being critical of people that haven't had, a ton of reading in a 3 year period of time. And like there have been many conversations since then where it's like you need to be mindful and understanding that not everybody has read all the crap that you had to read,
Yeah,
and also like they're not in these conversations. Like I have these like we're having a conversation, we are also part and parcel in the art world. Like these are the conversations that that swirl. But I go anywhere outside, even in my like relatively liberal city, and these are not the conversations. Like,
yeah,
the conversations are like, how do I pay this bill? How do I make this rent? How do I deal with this? And, you know, and that kind of, no matter if it's a really like blue state or blue city, the thinking of basically that all of these things that could matter don't matter because without using too many buzzwords, basically like the umbrella of late capitalism keeps everybody just thinking about their own like
yeah.
personal worry. And then every once in a while, if there's an election, that stuff will come out and they'll vote one way or the other. But like everybody's just dealing with their problems, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's so disingenuous to say that all Trump voters are racist just because they all most a lot of them voted for Obama. Like statistically, like it doesn't make sense. It's I find Trump is an interesting phenomenon. I think that it really I think that the media really did a lot to help him, and then they felt responsible after he got elected because they just put him on podiums. Like there was literally a thing called the Pied Piper theory that they're still doing. The Democrats will still fund Republican, far right Republican crazy people to run against because they assume that they're going to win against them, and they did that at the highest level, and they effed up because
Yes. Yep.
it was just it's one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. So for me, Trump is just such an interesting, he's a Rorschach test. It really
Yep.
is. Like
Yep.
he either triggers you, he either empowers you. And as someone who's ambivalent and like really does is not invested in his evil as like the primary source of all of our problems, because I've kind of seen our country slip, because we have Julian Assange in prison, essentially,
Yeah.
like it really, what, like one of the things I think that what the main difference is that social media is out, and at first it was social media was very empowering. It gave a lot
Yeah.
of people access to information, but now, because people get their information off of social media with the Twitter files and all this stuff, where leftists are getting censored, like Telesur is getting censored, like all these people,
Yeah.
nobody talks about that because everybody's happy that right wingers are getting censored, right? and
Uh,
and really all it is anybody that makes the establishment look bad. Like Trump is not, like, is not competent enough to run this machine
oh, yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
evil
Like,
and like and corruption, and he just says what like everybody does, but like without like knowing that it's not supposed to be said out loud, right?
yeah. No, for sure. No, for sure, dude. Are you familiar with the book Kill All Normies by Angela Nagel?
No.
Okay. She wrote Angela Nagel wrote this fantastic book called Kill All Normies, which was basically about how like small pockets of the internet on like Reddit, 4chan, all these things like gave platform to people like, Milo Yiannopoulos and people that essentially corralled the youth to like corralled them into like in ways like into the right wing or in ways to basically say, okay, it's cool to be, it's cool to be right wing now because we can basically like with Trump, we can just give everybody the finger. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter,
Yeah.
like it's far more rebellious and punk to be a right winger because it's far closer to anarchy, you know,
Yeah.
and
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 like
and and to be honest, it's exactly like the things that are considered right wing now were not right wing when we were kids.
yeah,
Like, and so I'm kind of like, it's the same thing, dude. The word progressive used to mean, like the progressives were eugenicists, and now it's like this good, like words just lose meaning and they get
yes,
manipulated, and it's like part of the manufacturing of consent, right?
yes,
And so like right now the party, the Democratic Party, is a upper middle class party. It is a professional managerial class party. That's why they were so against anybody that had anything to say about the thing that just happened 3 years ago that I'm not going to reference directly, because we're on a program that is on YouTube. But that's that, like, I mean, dude, like I was walking outside, and I think I can say this, but I think that, like, you know what? I'm not going to say it. But I was
yeah,
like
it's cool.
the idea of how, like, how problematic the way people were speaking about people that did not want to submit to this thing was so crazy, and 3 years out. And then what I realized during that time period is the power of that social media, because now when you talk to people face to face about these things off of these censored platforms, they think you're crazy. They think you're
Yeah,
crazy because they're hearing something different than you. I've
yeah,
never felt that before, where I've like talked to somebody and they're like, okay. Still some people talk like that about
yeah.
us,
No,
you
no.
know?
I've had very similar experiences where like I'll like talk to one of my closest friends and it's just kind of like I'm saying, yeah, but listen to this. And he's like, yeah, but and I'm like, oh no, where it's
Uh
just kind of like and then I mean, we still have good conversation, but I realized that like, and it's not Fox News or can I say Fox News? Probably.
yeah.
Like, it's not Fox News.
They're the
It's
same.
yeah, it's just it's other things that they're getting, they're still getting it through the internet, but it's just kind of it's like they're not going to dig into things that again, I'm just going to use the word left, but they're not going to dig into these left conversations. They're going to stay where they're comfortable.
Yeah,
and then it's
which
just
is all about like about the CRT, which is a legitimate thing to discuss, but
yeah,
is a very American perspective on race. It is not
totally.
all
Oh,
encompassing. It does not acknowledge the animosity that people have in wars that are happening right now towards each other,
yeah,
because like, and then it's so unexamined because we're just talking bad about Russians
yeah,
like they're Middle Eastern people from Iraq,
right.
or like they're part of Al Qaeda. Like, seriously, they're just citizens in a country, like, and they're not denouncing. Like, come on, bro. Like, you don't know that they're that like it to me, it's insane. But
Yeah, no, no,
anyway,
no,
so
for
so then
sure.
so then like, but I mean, it's related to the talk about AR, because a lot of this is just augmented reality. Like a lot of this stuff, like we don't have newspapers the same way that we used to. We
Mhm.
have
No.
things that we scroll through, and that, like, we have a little phone, and then we scroll through stuff, and then if we get bored of the article, we find something else immediately.
Yeah,
We don't have to
yeah,
change pages and pages, and like this huge thing that goes as you like fold it, and like, and then you can
yeah,
never fold it right, or you have, like, you get someone's version and they fold it differently than yours. Like, all
yeah.
of that's gone.
Yeah, yeah. No, like so obviously like it's pandering to the ease or the access obviously panders to how like I guess lazy, we are obviously. But like I don't know, some like I'm not an Elon Musk fan, but like
Mhm.
a couple weeks ago somebody said something where he was just kind of like we shouldn't have all these apps. We should have one app that does everything. And like I just felt like my heart sank because it was like, yeah, like he's gonna do that. Like he's
Yeah.
gonna start combining this shit and everything's gonna just be just like I love that there is at least a little degree of separation between the things that like I'm interested in. And like I'm not a person that has a million apps on my phone. I have like the 10 I need and then like
Mm.
that's it. And like as someone who is dyslexic where all the information is in there but it's very hard to keep it separate, it's like I like the fact that I know that like Instagram's pictures, like
Yeah.
and
Well, I
like
mean,
and
not
and
anymore.
not anymore, but like dude, I don't I know that like reels are important and I know all of that. And I talk to people about how to grow their accounts and stuff too. Like I actually like some of my speaking engagements have to do with how to essentially represent yourself on Instagram, like as an artist, not necessarily grow your following, but like how to present in
Mhm.
like a social media platform. And like, and I know all those things are important, but like, dude, like Instagram and Snapchat are kind of like where I just sort of stopped.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's going to be some kind of like alternative to these things when they die. But like, I couldn't even get to TikTok. Like, I
Yeah.
just, dude, I was in there for like a day or two, and then I was just kind of like, I don't even know what I'm watching, and it's eating my time, and like, oh my God, you know.
Do you
So
do you remember there was, for a very short time, what the fuck was that called? The
fine.
what's that? No, 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 no. Before Vine, cable TV. It was a channel that Al Gore started, and it was all short content, and it
Yes.
was and it was it when it was essentially TikTok, because it was all short stuff. It's more like it was more like a YouTube, right? Because it was like 10-minute videos and stuff like that. And it, like, short entertainment that was like kind of like public access. I forget what it was called. It doesn't matter. If you want to find the name, anybody that's listening can just Google. And if you want to leave it in the comments, please do. Just Google Al Gore's television network. But it was the weirdest thing, because it would be like a 15-minute video,
Yeah.
or like a 5-minute video, and then a commercial. And
Dude, this
then
is so wild.
you would really watch the commercials. You
Yeah.
would watch them. Like,
Yeah.
that the thing that the advantage of like something like TikTok, but like that was a precursor. The advantage is that you can just swipe and skip the thing. But it
Yeah.
was so nefarious at the same time. Like,
Totally.
by making you by having stuff that was equal length. I remember that, like, I remember vividly of Jean-Claude Van Damme doing a split on two
Two
trucks.
trucks.
You remember that? That
a
I
perfect
remember that
split.
so vividly because of that, like because it was just isolated in between two pieces of content. That was before it was.
Yep.
This is like early 2010s, yeah, or no, early 2000, not even tens. But yeah, dude.
Wow.
So like all of this, like that short content stuff, like when I saw that when television and cable was normal, I thought it was nefarious, and now we just take it for granted.
Yeah, no, that's what everything is, right? It's like if it's more than a minute and a half, I can't take it, or people can't take it. So I think every once in a
My
while,
clips are 15 seconds.
that's fair.
50
No, no,
sec
I mean,
15 seconds or they don't hit hard.
yeah, I think you do a good job with your clips.
Thanks.
Because
There
I'm
I don't
interested in what the person says that I'm like, I want to listen to that whole conversation. That's weird, you know?
Awesome. Thank you.
So,
I mean, I wasn't
um,
fishing for that, but like but that is like also, dude, look, if we're talking about social media, if you're at all interested in doing reels, which it doesn't seem like you are, but anybody in the audience, like, don't waste your time on TikTok, bro. You're never gonna make money on that shit. Like,
yeah,
TikTok, do it as a side thing. Make whatever sense. The return on investment on that shit, if you're trying to like be on social media and blow up, like the YouTube is there's nobody that can fuck with YouTube. It's Google. You're not gonna beat Google unless you
yeah,
are like
you're
unless
right.
somebody else buys something that's insane that
Yeah,
but
you're right.
like buys a startup. But like even Facebook can't hang, bro. Facebook is gonna get eaten up. Like
Yeah,
they're
no,
spending all that money on Meta because they're dying,
yeah, no, I agree.
and they're losing money on Meta.
I
But
agree.
yeah, but YouTube, like, and the kids use YouTube. Like it's
Yeah,
not
it's not dying.
yeah, it's I
Yeah.
mean dude, they did not know how badly they fucked up when they made YouTube. It is so powerful that it competes with like legacy media. Like that shit is dying.
Yeah. And I mean, and you can like find as so like as someone who with dyslexia and like I don't read like terribly well, I still read a lot, but like you can find like so many like you can find a topic on anything you're looking for on YouTube. It's wild. Like I listen to most of my philosophy stuff through YouTube.
Yeah.
So no. You mentioned Reels, and like I will tell you that I do use Reels in like I think it's a very cool place. Like if I have like time-based art where like I'm recording little increments over the page. Like I mean, not like progress videos or time lapses, but like I'll have projects where like I take the same picture in the same spot once a day for a year,
Mhm.
and then like I'll, put that together. And like that's a really cool place where it's like I can show my art to a lot of people this way here,
You should
but it's not necessarily, yeah.
upload
And
it
it's
to YouTube as a short, man. I mean,
for that.
you're gonna like right now the like TikTok the golden days of TikTok are done. You're
Yeah.
not going to grow the way that you were in the 2010, 2020, 2010. They've already got their big creators. YouTube is it has a model that they've done for a long time. Like one of the things that's great for on YouTube for me is that they're they're like now they're pushing their like podcasts on the platform directly to their music app. So like now like you don't have to like you don't need a subscription to or you don't need to f with anything else if you're already using it. Like it's like if you're using Spotify, why not listen to podcasts there? Same thing
Yeah.
with YouTube Music. So that business, dude, like they just have the resources. It really is like if we're talking in terms of feudal empires, Google and Apple, I think, like Facebook, goodbye. TikTok has its own thing going on because it's part of another country's like infrastructure, but it's as far as like American social media companies, YouTube is it.
YouTube.
It's
Mhm.
super hard to use, but sometimes you post something and it goes crazy viral. It's like a tool that you have to learn. But
Interesting.
for artists, I need more people on their game doing their YouTube so that I can have them on the show and then they can have me on their show and we all just share audiences like back when
Yeah.
the early days of podcasting when it was all comedians having comedians on the show. Now everybody's sick of that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I I get that. Um, Let me think. We've like kind of
I mean, we've talked for a while, man. I don't want to keep making you come up with things.
no. I mean, I guess I wanted to talk to you about LA a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
just because it was kind of a so like one of the things that was cool about Syracuse was they had this one semester that you had to apply for it, but like you either got a semester in LA, Berlin, or London.
Mm,
At least when I was there. And like, you wrote a paper and like you said, this is why I need to go to this place, right? And like I ended up going to LA and we lived in San Pedro. It was like me and two other art students, right? And every day I would like basically get on the Silver Line at like 6 a.m. in San Pedro and take the
mhm,
bus to Skid Row.
mhm.
And I was interning, and I just wanted to mention this because I was interning for some folks that did an art podcast. It was more formal, but are you familiar with Artist Decoded?
I think I might have heard the name. Yeah.
Okay, so Artist Decoded was run by these para artists. One's name was Yoshino, and the
It's
other
not
was
it's defunct now, or you just don't listen to it
no,
anymore?
no, it's still going on. It's their headquarters down right next to Skid Row. And it was the company was called No Wave,
Mm,
and I think it was named after like the avant-garde musical kind of like musical movement that was called No Wave. It was spelled a little differently, but that's what it was named after. And they did this artist podcast, and like right now, like I heard you talk on a different episode. Like I think you were talking to Josh. You were like, having you on the show gets me no followers. It gets me nothing. I just think I should, right? So like I am a similar situation. Having me on the show is gets you nothing except this talk.
Oh, but
But
that's like all the guests. I mean,
that's
like
fair.
that's not why I do it. I
Yeah,
literally, yeah, like, and also you. I mean, I don't remember the context in which I was saying it, but like Josh and I have a very open relationship about like not like we're a couple that has sex with other people, but like we talk business, you know.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
uh,
Like, and it was a good like I liked that conversation a lot.
Yeah, no one listened to that one though
I
because
totally,
I think it was because it was too businessy in title, you know.
bro.
But
When you
that was
got into NFTs, I did glaze over.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I well, when we'd had the conversation, was glazing over. When I listened to it again, I was able to understand it. So maybe
you're like, oh,
a second pass. Not to make you listen to my
sure.
podcast twice.
No, no, it's good.
But
Um,
but yeah, dude. I mean, in terms of that, like honestly, the social media is so effed right now because you can have someone that has like 20,000 followers. Like, for example, Josh had 8,000 followers. He told me himself that he doesn't have high engagement. He's just
yeah,
been there so long. And so he doesn't.
yeah,
And
just digging.
then, like, can you imagine having to purge the bots on an account that has 8,000 people? Like, I would just
No,
start a new account, you know,
yeah,
to just get
no.
like right now, the engagement that I have is so crazy compared to what I've ever have had on anything. Almost like they almost did me a favor by deleting my other account.
Yeah. No, 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 that's fair. No, that's totally
Yeah.
fair. What I was getting at though is like so Yoshino would always have on like they were all formal artists, but like
Mm.
pretty
What do you mean by
famous.
formal artist?
That's a
Like,
good question. So like let's say like high craft, usually figurative, like
but like represented like
yeah,
okay.
yeah, totally. Like representational.
No, no, no. I
And
mean like represented in a space. Like what formal
oh,
inter is stylistically formal what?
yeah, stylistically formal. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So
All
like
right,
a
all right,
lot
all
of
right.
the artists were represented or are represented by galleries,
Yeah,
but
this is
it
working
was
class, dude. This is like
yeah.
people that have day jobs.
That's yeah, no, that's
I mean,
fair.
if you're famous and you want to get me listens, yeah. But like the next week like and you come on, like I'll have you. But if you like, you know, the next week is probably gonna be another nobody that is a nice
That's
person.
fair. I like no the nobodies so far have been really interesting to
They're
listen
not
to.
nobodies, is my
And
point.
and the thing right, the nobodies. Oh yeah, nobody can see my quotation fingers.
Quotations, yeah.
Okay. But like at the same time, like what's really interesting is going through like I've checked out a lot of your artists, and it's like these people like Raul Baltazar has like no one following him on social media,
Yeah, yeah.
but he's humongous,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I knew who that was.
Oh, you
So
did? Wow.
yeah, yeah. and another thing like that I kind of tell students now too is like if you're going to be an artist, like you don't want to be McDonald's or Burger King. Like it doesn't matter if you serve a million people. Like you don't want to
Mhm.
give something, like be an artist. Like, and then I'll give examples of here's all these artists that are amazing that are like getting attention from say Hyperallergic or like whatever other art publication, and like they have no one following them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like because it's not clickbait, like it's art,
Yeah, yeah.
so but
But that being said, I do know a few people that have like taken this course that I'm gonna take eventually. I wish I could plug it right now. I mean, I can't endorse it because I've never done it, but I know if
okay,
like I know two people that have taken this course from this woman that teaches people how to sell stuff online, and they have like in the 10 to 20,000 follower ranges. And those and when when I had Camilla on, I haven't had the other person on, but and I don't know if they want me to disclose that they're like that they took a class on art hustling or
yeah,
anybody. I mean, Camilla didn't either. Actually, now that I think about it. No, but like there are instructional ways of learning how to do it. One of the things that
totally.
was super helpful for me, dude, honestly, is I don't know if you saw it, but I recently got access to the invite collaborator button back, and that is a game changer. Because when I was posting 4 mother effing clips a week plus a carousel image, right? So that's 5 days of content, and I wasn't breaking into any new followers. I was just hitting
Interesting.
my followers over the head with my own content, and
Yeah, yeah.
now when like and I think that's why like I said some maybe stuff that I shouldn't have about the war that's going on right now. Which one? Who knows? There's like
World
7 of
War.
them.
There are no
Yeah, like there's a million wars that you can say something about bad about, and some you can talk negatively about, some you can't.
yeah.
But yeah, so I think they just put me on like probation for like 6 months and then it came back. But I was
Gee,
like, but dude, it's a game changer. Like it
yeah,
really it like I was in the 500 one post. Now I'm in the thousands. Now I had when I was doing the 5 posts a day, 5 posts a week, I was getting um I was getting like for 4K impressions and interaction, or not in interactions, but like people 4,000 people were seeing my stuff, but it was
yeah.
only my 300 followers, and my following wasn't growing. So
Interesting.
like they can really throttle you if they want to, because they can keep you from being discoverable. So like,
It's
that's
wild.
why
Yeah, yeah. No,
keep
keep it
it
tight
keep
for
it
sure.
tight. Now what I do is I talk about the things that I can't talk about instead of talking about them directly. I'm like, I can't
Nice.
talk about that, and now I'm talking about censorship. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
acknowledging the censorship without actually breaking the rules, but also like kind of
Sure.
like, hey guys, there's more here to the story. I'm not aware. But yeah, dude, this whole world is crazy. Like I mean, for your 3-year-old son, it's insane. Does he have access to an iPhone and an iPad? Because that's like
Um,
like your serotonin must be so fucked by the time you get to be an adult.
yeah, no, I mean we'll let him watch an iPad like on like if we have to travel somewhere.
Mhm.
Otherwise, he is just like he hates being in the cars. But if we, like, okay, it's time to travel somewhere, Blue's Clues or like whatever, whatever it
Yeah,
is. But no, I mean, I don't that's a nightmare for me to think about. Like, it's horrible for me to think about. Like I remember I didn't get a phone. I didn't get a smartphone until well after college, and I didn't get a cell phone until I was 3 years into college,
yeah,
and like now I've had a cell phone for 20 years and a smartphone for 15, and it's like sure, the technological advances have helped us, but I'd go right back. I'd
yeah,
go right back if I said if we could just like make it a blip and say, how about we just stick with cell phones? If you want a computer, you have to have a computer. No smartphone. I would go in a second.
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I mean, texting, like I remember texting when it was impractical.
Yeah.
You had to hit the same button like 3 times.
It's like I don't want like no, like and just like
And people would get
all of
mad at you when you texted them, because then they would have to text, why don't you just call me?
yeah,
Bro, why can't you just call me? Why are you texting me? Now people are like,
Yeah,
Anyway,
just send me a text. Like, yeah, it's so wild. You remember when like text messages cost money? Like you got
yes,
like, like so it just I'm not saying like I want to go back to anything, I guess, but like just I think when I look at my like fucking screen time, at the end of the week, and it's just like, and granted, like I read emails on my phone and like I have art tools on my phone, but like it'll say something like 8 hours, and I'm just kind of like, I could have
yeah,
been painting for 8 hours.
yeah.
Like what, things like that just like crush me. So,
And
so
the
yeah.
idea of just basic boredom, like for
Oh,
the creative process, like how I mean, I don't know. And they will never know. That's the crazy thing. I don't know, and they will never know. Like
right.
neither of us will ever understand what it's like, you know.
I,
Like
I,
and then because like what happens to me now is I get that hollow boredom of like I've been trying to entertain myself as opposed to just being bored and present. and
yeah.
then and
And
then
like,
where it starts to become fun and your brain starts to like, like it's almost like you're in the sensory deprivation tank, but you're in real
yeah,
life, you know.
like you're like actually alone with your thoughts and not just like with your phone. No,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. Like I think
or
it's,
or a thought leads to like, let me look that up.
yeah,
Or like it doesn't become research, it just becomes a thought trail, like,
yeah,
not what about not having information? What do you come up when you do that, right?
yeah,
I know that's
yeah.
terrifying to some people that are anti disinformation, but like sometimes like thought exercises are good,
Oh,
like
for
you can
sure.
pull yourself back into reality. The real world would do that to you.
No, no, for sure. I think one of the reasons I do art, like from a therapeutic standpoint, is to like get away from my phone,
Mhm.
which sounds real like, whatever, but it's like, nope, like I'm just not gonna look at my phone for like, I'll paint for 20 minutes, break for 5 minutes, paint for 20 minutes, break for 5 minutes, and I'll do three of that before I even look at my phone. And my
Yeah,
wife
yeah,
has like an emergency dial that she can use if like she needs to cut through. But like other than that, like I just don't touch it. And like I do more thinking probably there and in the shower, like in those blocks of time and in the shower, than like the rest of the day
yeah.
combined.
Well, as
So
a kid, I just that's my space. I always take a bath. That's like the closest thing. I'll just sit there, I'll soak in water, and like I'll slowly like and I've just gotten so used to doing that my whole life that like I can feel when I haven't like when I take the difference between taking a shower and like soaking in water and just like the
yeah.
relaxation that happens there. But yeah, man, like that moment of decompressing, and then I'll fill the tub back up a little bit with some hot water just to keep it refreshed, and then I'll do that little thing with your hands so you spread the water around your body. They're both they're going in opposite directions, so that the world that you're making a whirlpool around you for the people that are listening. But yeah, man. Yeah, dude, like the mental space is so hard that I actually only scheduled one interview this week because I needed the time. Like when you're doing this stuff, you try stuff that you do for other people, and it doesn't work for you because you don't have the same following, right? Like the same number of people. So you have to figure out like how to do it organically rather than just hop in when you have everything in place. Like
Yeah.
it is a wild, wild time. But like, dude, the idea that kids can make more money than their parents, like there are kids that are fucking millionaires and they're not like
Yeah.
child stars. They did it themselves. That is
Yeah.
crazy. And like, imagine being a kid with peers like that, as opposed like because we had professional athletes like Kobe. I
Yeah.
remember when he came out and we felt bad about ourselves, you know.
No, dude, it's to me, it is a like real world nightmare. Like
Yeah.
like more, I see the lens almost more through like just how broken things could get. Like I'm just such an anxious person with a lot of that, especially with my kid. And like I don't know how I'm going to parent through some of these things. Like, you
Oh
mentioned
yeah.
how, like we're not living in the same world like as our parents. And I know that's always the case for everybody, but like before the internet, there was a huge block of time where it's like you learned things from your parents, and as long as they weren't awful people, like you could kind of rely on that as like a blueprint for life. and we are at basically the breaking point where
Yeah.
like that's no longer the case,
Like
like
let's say you know, not to be too like not to put anxieties in you that you don't already have, but like, you know, like the like deep fakes, dude. There's going to be
oh
a whole generation of young women and young men that are going to be trolled and humiliated with deep fakes. And they're not going to be that great because most of these people, but like some people have a lot of video of them out there. So like popular girls in school can easily be like messed
yeah,
with
dude.
in horrible ways, right? Like it
It's
is a terrifying place. And then like people want like what I love about fact checking is that like it's basically all these organizations like fact checking is supposed to happen inside the journalistic organization, right? Like, but now we have these organizations that claim that they're fact checking and they're like plagiarists like Snopes, and it's really just a thing that's there so that people our age can Google something that doesn't seem right, and then it'll be like a full of shit argument that says it's lacking context, but it's really like just trying to gaslight and like muddy the issue in this really like, well, this person said this, and then like you just get like there. That's how like people who are um
cancel.
socially leftist, like
Mhm.
who I would say like Joe Rogan is probably farther to the left than like Mark Maron, you know, like
Oh,
in
for sure.
terms,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
you
for
get what
sure.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like people, but the Democrats love Mark Maron. And and like, you know, and he's this like I like them as two touchstones because 2010s Mark Maron was the king. Now Joe Rogan is the king by a measure of like by just like only the Super Bowl can kind of compete
Yeah.
with that guy. And it's amazing. It's that intimacy, like even in this time of all these like fast quick things. That's why long form podcasts, like I mean, you know, not that we're going
Yeah.
3 hours, but
No, 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 I
but
got you.
like but even my friends will tell me like I like listening to the ones where you talk to my friends because I don't get to sit down with my friends and talk like that, you know, like just
Oh,
and
that's super interesting. That's true. That's true.
yeah.
Like I know Deborah Bros, and like that was the first one I listened to.
Yeah. Well, she's got two. So
You
you
gotta
got
find the
you
other one.
but
Yeah.
anyway, man, yeah, I would love talk like I mean we're borderline old man corner, but old man corner is valid. Old man corner is an institution. I remember the old men that used to bitch when I was a young man. And now I'm like, those motherfuckers were onto something. Those were the lefties, the Vietnam vets, those motherfuckers, those are my people. So
Oh man. Yeah, dude.
anyway, well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. Anything that
Yeah,
we can
dude.
promote for you?
I mean, I have a website which is
Instagram?
my name,
Okay. Can you
Matthew
spell it
John
out?
A. Yep, MatthewJohnApol.com. Just Matthew with two T's, JohnApol. And then like you can find my socials through that. I'm also a curator, kind of like in the lower like southeastern area of Pennsylvania. And um I'm kind of located here to, try to kind of make my way into the New York City scene. So
Okay.
like yeah, so like that's probably where um, you know, I'm very into the idea of like pop-up exhibitions where like you and a couple other people rent space for 3 days, have an opening, everybody comes and then tear it down. So
Mhm.
like I'm gonna try to be making some moves with that here in Philly,
Do you
which
have
is
a are you going to be doing that individually or as a collective or
Like so I've been in Lancaster for about 2 years since I got out of school, and I'm just
Mm,
starting to meet the people here who like there's a lot of like formal fine art. When I say, oh, there's a formal again, figurative fine art in town, and there's not a lot of high concept. And I'm starting to find folks that are more into the conceptual side of things.
mm.
So I'm just kind of starting to scrape my people together. I do know some folks in New York City. I'm working with them a little bit. So yeah, it'll probably be under the guise of like I'm gonna have myself and other artists curate a show, whether that
Mm.
be like a split show, a group show, solo shows, like it's more like finding space. We'll put together probably a collective organization of some sort and be like, okay, now like we can we can do our own work, that's
Mhm.
fine, but I would prefer to like find folks that are having trouble like breaking
Yeah, yeah.
in other places. That's I think that's probably like my mission as a curator. Like
Mm.
recently I curated a show at a college not too far from here, and it was for an artist named Jeremy Tarr. And this dude was a like a trailer park Pittsburgh street rat who is an absolute fantastic sculptor. And
Mm.
like his work is about like kind of post-human Anthropocene, but like it was just like the concept of the work was fantastic. The exhibition space in the school had never shown anything like this. And like for some reason, this artist who was just great, and I don't know if it was because he was another white dude or what, but he was having trouble finding a show, finding an
Yeah.
exhibition. And I'm like, I don't get it, dude. Like this is great work. It's great so like so we did a
What
show for him.
city was the show in?
It was in York, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
which
Maybe
is like
that is not that many spaces.
no. I mean, he's up in upstate New York, and he was like,
Oh,
he
okay.
wasn't, yeah, he
Well,
wasn't
I think
landing
I
like
think New York is pretty tough. I mean, you got to when you think about LA and New York, just the amount of real estate that's available for people to just like,
for
you
sure.
know, like
Yeah.
that one of the things is LA is so decentralized. So I mean, no, but I mean that's I'm saying like it's almost easier for artist run scenes to spring up over here. And the reason I
Oh,
asked you
for
about
sure.
the collective is just the financial aspect, It's
Yeah.
just much easier to just have a bunch of people chip in on a project like that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
like I came to Monta Vista a couple times when I was in LA, and I did like that model. That
Mm.
was in 2019, I think. Kate
Oh,
Finley
so we
brought.
were already at the Bendix building. Mm.
Yeah, and the Bendix building was amazing. And there are buildings like that in New York City. Like I heard you
Mm.
mention that, like, I don't know if there's places like this in New York, but like the problem is the places like this in Chelsea, like that are like the Bendix, that are just like floors and floors of art. It's not like collective project spaces. It's not Tiger Strikes Asteroid. I know there's a New York version or a Philly version, but like it's like Hollis Taggart. It's like these really uppity, really nice galleries for painting where these paintings are going for 20K,
Mm.
30K. And
So like mid-tier kind of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not Hauser and Wirth, but like it's like they're galleries that are there to smash and make money. So it's
Have sex and make money.
yes, exactly. I mean, at the upper tiers of art where everybody's alone in their studio, right? So like it's you're right. Like it is harder to find a show because there's really like in
East Coast
LA,
is tough too. Like East Coast in general is just a
East
little
Coast
bit
is tough.
more like what are the benefits of LA? Like I mean I'm just trying to like figure out why this guy's work wasn't doing isn't doing good because you liked it so much. But
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
like LA, dude, it's almost stupid easy by comparison to like anywhere I've been on the East Coast to meet people. Like people like it's almost like I mean I have close friends, but honestly in the art world I'm just getting to the point where I'm like um I'm having a hard time like separating the networking side from the social side when I go out and hang out with my friends that are also in the professional industry that I'm
Yeah,
in and spend all my energy trying to like uh be a part of,
for sure. For
it's
sure.
tough like just it's I mean there comes a time where you network so much that like you are friends with people but it is professional, like there's a
Yeah.
professional element to it,
Yeah.
like there's things that I will talk to my art friends about that is art related about like beefs within the community, arguments that I've had with people where I'm like, hey, am I crazy to be upset about this, that kind of
Right.
thing. But
Right.
like personal, like, oh my God, she broke my heart. Like nobody's gonna hear that shit.
Yeah. 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 No, no, for
you
sure.
know, like
Yeah,
my
I feel like
mom.
you almost have to live and breathe it, right? Like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
every moment of every day when you're out there. So
yeah,
yeah, no, that's different in New York. Like there's a professional side of thing, but everybody's like super cold, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
um
and that like everybody's super friendly, but like are we really friends? And a lot of times you find out that they fucking hate you.
Yeah.
Like I've
Yeah.
recently just found out that someone that I've known for 5 years fucking hates me, and I only know by the way that they spoke to me. And I'm like, oh my god, I thought we were friends,
I
you
thought we
know.
were cool.
And I'm not mad at them. I'm like, I like it's one of those things where like, how can I be mad when you've been upset at me? And I guess I've been the asshole this whole time, and I thought we
Yeah.
were cool.
I just didn't realize it.
I was like, damn, I'm really an asshole.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea.
You
But
have like you have the elimination like years later and you're like, oh
yeah.
man, that
I
sucks.
mean, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I don't like I don't I burning bridges is dumb to me at this point. Like there's just people I won't work with, but like the idea of like I should never speak to you again is so crazy to me. You know,
yeah,
in
and
my
you
40s, in my 20s, every day.
I don't know, like it's yeah, no, for sure. Like you can't do that. You can't talk shit. Like there's just no point.
You just run out
Uh,
of like you do that in your 20s and you're like, shit, I don't have friends anymore. and then,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
okay, no more burning bridges, you know.
Like, and you're like, just can someone give me a bridge? Can one person like allow me to like come back in? Yeah, yeah. No,
I
for
mean, not
sure.
that I've
Well,
burnt so many bridges, but like, you know, like things
yeah.
happen when everybody's a druggie in Miami and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
no, like all of my regrets have to do with like me treating someone, not understanding how I was treating them at the
Yeah.
time, and then thinking back and going like, oh no,
Yeah.
like no wonder that person doesn't talk to me anymore. Um, but yeah, anyway, like thanks for having me. I
No,
feel
it's
like
been a pleasure, man. I
we've
will
talked
definitely
about
be in touch.
everything.
I'm doing a new thing, by the way, that I don't know if you've seen. I have a second Instagram account. So what you can do is just post some of your work, like in a carousel setup, if you want, or if you want
Okay.
to do a video, that's fine. And then just invite collaborator, and then I'll put you up on the. That's my low effort curatorial, like
Oh, that's
self
dope.
serve self serve curatorial, because I used to do that draw. It was such a nightmare to like be like, hey, can you send me 7 images? And then like, yeah,
Yeah.
just have people do it. Josh tried to
Perfect.
do one, but he tagged his other account at, like, or he invited. You can only invite one collaborator, and
Right.
but he did one. And I was like, damn, this looks good. I was like, you should keep documenting them like this. They're
Yeah.
these little like postcards that he makes, but
I
like
heard
he
him
took like
speak about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I believe I either follow him or I checked out his work. So I'm having a lot of fun checking out everybody's work. So
Yeah, that I mean that's the one thing that I kind of miss about the old way that I used to do it is like I used to post people's work. But you know, to be honest, I don't always have people whose work speaks to me. Sometimes I just have people because they're artists, and that's actually been helpful for me because sometimes I'll talk to someone and I'll be like, "Oh, I really like your work now." You know?
yeah,
Because it's just like I just you know how it is. Like
I do.
yeah, like you have filters and you have preferences, but then you talk to someone, you're like, oh, I get it now. And then
Yeah.
like you see it, like it's like
Uh,
when someone that's kind of just like middling looking, and then I mean you're married, so you would never this doesn't happen to you anymore. But someone middling looking, but then you get to know them and you're like, damn, you're hot, you know?
I like the analogy of seeing the band live. Like you're not into the music, then you see the band live and you're like, I like this now.
Yeah.
So no, totally.
That
Totally,
happened
totally
with me with Fish, but I never liked listening to them when they weren't live.
fair. Fair.
I just liked listening to them
Yeah.
live.
The live show. Yeah, dude.
All right,
All
man.
right, man.
Have a good rest of your day, and we'll be back next week with another artist with another topic that may or may not be art related, or may just be a bunch of curmudgeonly rantings about how the world has changed and we're outdated old white men.
Old white man corner. All right, dude. Well, hey, thanks a lot. I look forward to the episode. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right, peace.